Hey everyone, I'd like to welcome you back to another art video in Wings of Fire Early Access. I was really happy with how much everyone enjoyed my last video, so here's part 2 of that. So right now, you just see me flying around the Skywing Kingdom looking for our first OC. And it did take me a little bit, and I flew around the dungeons, and I flew around the throne room, and I'm in the Colosseum, and I get into a battle. Some random Nightwing approaches me and says, "Want to fight?" and I am completely terrified, but I do fight with them. And hopefully I won. I'm not really sure if I won or not, but in the end, they vanish from existence. And now, we wait for our first victim. Here is our first character that we're going to draw. At first, they're an Icewing, but they must be an Animus or something because they end up turning into a Seawing. Now in Stingray's profile, they did mention that he's a very good fisher. And so as I'm drawing this character, I do make a very big point to draw a fish in his mouth because I'm imagining that Stingray is swimming through the ocean, going fishing in his favorite fishing spots. Now, one of my favorite things to draw on these dragons is actually the scales. I think it's very therapeutic to just sit there and draw countless amounts of circles over and over and over and over again. And I like to put on some nice music in the background and just draw so many scales. And it's so fun, but it does take a very long time to draw each individual scale, and so I do end up cutting that out of the footage. However, if I were to give any advice for drawing scales on dragons, I would say that one of my number one techniques that I like to use is to not draw even circles. So when you're drawing the scales, you don't want them all to look the same. So maybe draw some scales that have some points to them, or maybe draw some that look a little like rectangles, but just don't make them all uniform circles. I've also found, mostly from looking at artworks from other creators on Instagram or Pinterest, that another way to make dragon scales look pretty and very aesthetically pleasing is to vary the color in the scales. And so what I do is I go through each individual little circle and I take the base color of the dragon and then I move the little color slider up and down a little bit and draw some scales that are slightly lighter and draw some that are slightly darker. And it ends up looking very, very nice in the end. I'm really happy with how the scales look. They're so pretty. And now I am drawing the background. I have opinions on backgrounds. I do not really like drawing backgrounds at all. When I drew this, I had to find many reference photos because backgrounds are not very easy for me to draw at all. I looked at Wings of Fire book covers, the second book. I looked at ocean references. One of my favorite things about that artwork is actually the glowing parts on the scales. I think it looks so good. And now we are searching for our second character to draw. And thankfully, I did not have to spend much time looking for this one. An Icewing popped up in the arena. Now we're going to draw Boreal. Now in Boreal's description, the creator of this character mentioned that he is rather a grumpy dragon, so I wanted to reflect that in his facial expression. And one of the hardest parts about drawing this character was actually drawing the wings. And usually I don't really have a hard time drawing wings, although in this pose I found it quite difficult. And I messed around with the right wing so much. I drew over and over and over again and looked up wing references and poses, and I like how the right wing turned out, but the left wing, I think as I was drawing it, I got very tired of redrawing and erasing wings, so I just left the left wing how it was, although it does look a little wonky. And the only reason I added a little fox in there was because I thought the wing looked very wonky. I tried to convince myself that the wing did not look wonky by making a little fox under the wing, so I think it turned out okay in the end, but who knows. I think one of the most difficult parts about making this drawing was actually the coloring. Now, since it's a almost completely white dragon on a snowy background, I was very terrified to draw this drawing, not only because I'm horrible at drawing backgrounds, but also because of the fact that it's a white dragon on a white background. So I was like, how in the world am I going to distinguish the character from the background? And in order to actually make it look like a background and not get the character lost in the background, I had to reference the two Wings of Fire book covers that had ice wings on them. So the one with snowfall and the one with winter on them, and I used those as inspiration to make the background. And I also looked up other snowy landscape paintings that I found on the internet, and I think it turned out alright. I wish that I made the snow in the background of the artwork more white, because I think that you can't really tell that there's snow on the bushes. Actually, now that I'm looking at it now, it looks like there's no snow at all, and the snow only fell around our character, but that is a-okay. Thank you for watching! I absolutely love these artworks, especially the one with Stingray in it. It is probably one of my favorite artworks that I have made thus far on this channel. So I hope you enjoyed the video, and maybe go check out some of my other videos on my channel, and I'll see you next time!